as the value gets higher, rent also increases, and as rent increases, you all know the narrative, as rent starts to increase, the dividends that you will get also will increase. And please remember this, that majority of the people who would buy REITs are in it for the dividends, are in it for the cash flow. If the dividend yield that they will get will increase also because of the increase in rental rates, even if the stock price would go up, people will be willing to buy it at a higher price. Hey guys, so here's the thing. Over the past few months, we have seen a lot of REIT listings come into the Philippine markets. We had 3, and then we're having 2 more over the next few weeks. But this is what I believe. That's the start of even more REIT listings in the future, because this is a good way for property companies or further make their property business bigger, better, and stronger. And this is what I like about the stock market. Every time companies raise money, you always have to look at it from a way that when they raise money, it's not just that they're expanding, but every time they use that into something, it spurs economic growth. It gives people who don't have jobs a shot to actually earn more. So if you're actually thinking that, okay, it's a good way for me to be able to earn money, it's also a good way for companies to raise capital, look at it also from a perspective that once they start raising money, it allows people to have jobs, it spurs economic activity. The fact that they will use it to acquire land, build something on top of it, think about the carpenters that will actually have jobs because of it. So that's why I'm a big fan of REITs, because it allows companies to raise money, spur economic growth, create jobs, but in a way, it allows normal Filipinos to have exposure to real estate. Now, when you invest in REITs, it gives you the ability to have exposure to property that normal Filipinos don't buy. We'd normally buy raw land or house and lots, or even lots that later on papatayuan nyo ng bahay. Or for some people, they build townhouses, duplexes, apartment complexes, or even buy condos. And that primarily comprises a large chunk of Filipinos who enter the real estate market. Those are the investments that a large chunk of Filipinos enter in. But not a lot of Filipinos have exposure to hotels. Not a lot of Filipinos have exposure to office spaces. Not a lot of Filipinos have exposure to office buildings. When you enter and buy your own property in a residential area, you are just catering to the residential segment of this economy, which is good and well. However, as you've noticed also, some of your friends have condos that are either vacant or they're trying to sell, but they're having a hard time to sell. And for those who were able to sell, they were able to sell it at a price that's slightly lower than 2019 levels. Or for those who had their properties rented out, the price that they were able to rent it out from was a haircut from where it was also in 2019. Now, that being said, what's nice about the REITs that have been listed and the ones that will be listed is that your exposure to commercial properties, your exposure to businesses, your exposure to companies gives you the ability to be able to have predictability of income. Why? Think about it this way. Majority of them, their occupancy rate is close to 100%, 90+% up. Revenue is coming in, and the fact that a lot of them are exposed to the BPO sector gives you the ability that, okay, what I'm investing in is resilient, because this is what I believe. The BPO sector is not just here to stay, but over the next few years, it's just gonna get bigger, better, and stronger. And a lot of people are saying that automation, AI will somehow disrupt and hit and will be a risk for the BPO industry. But please do note this, that there will be ways on how they can innovate and how they can find ways on how they can also pivot to still retain the jobs here. I love what the BPO sector is doing here in terms of how they're spurring the economy, but I love also how this is impacting the property market, and that's what we are investing on the REITs that are available. It gives you the ability to ride and make money off of what's going on in the BPO industry via rental income. However, it's not as scary. Why? Because you know, as long as they're here, as long as they have invested a large amount of money in the Philippines, yung rent na makukuha ng companies na yun will be stable. But not just that, because it's stable and because they're also locked in for a period of time, the ability of the REIT companies to increase rent will be very, very good for us. Why? Wala silang gawin sa mga current buildings nila. They don't acquire anything. The fact that over time, land is appreciating, the fact that over time, that since you are exposed to a commercial property in areas where there's very, very high foot traffic, property prices there would go up much, much better than residential areas. Property prices there would outperform far-flung properties or lands that there isn't a lot of traffic. Usually, it's the center of the country that normally has better capital appreciation because that's where things are going. That's where a lot of commerce and industry and businesses are actually moving in and out. As the value gets higher, rent also increases, and as rent increases, you all know the narrative, as rent starts to increase, the dividends that you will get also will increase. And please remember this, that majority of the people who would buy REITs are in it for the dividends, are in it for the cash flow. If the dividend yield that they will get will increase also because of the increase in rental rates, even if the stock price would go up, people will be willing to buy it at a higher price. Case in point, the very, very first REIT that we had in the Philippines, a REIT, compare it, check it. It started around 27, 27.5. Then, a few days after its IPO, it actually dropped. And I'll say this over and over, nagbabayad pa rin ng renta yung mga companies na nag-uupa doon. Why should you be scared? The predictability that people are there, that they're paying their rent and they're increasing their rent, and your yield will go up also over time. And you know also, as a dividend yield would go up, people who are coming in later on would be willing to buy it even at a higher price because the dividends that they will get will compensate and it will be higher than buying property right now. And the risk of buying property by yourself is that if it's vacant, you get zero. If it's vacant for 6 months, the potential that you have to make money will diminish in value. Please do remember this, that money is important, but time is also important. That an asset over time should be generating something for you. And each week, each month that property is not making anything for you, you lose the potential. You're actually not moving forward. It's actually something that becomes a weight for you as well, especially if you're paying it from amortization. And that's something very, very important to note, that when you buy REITs, the capital to be able to enter is not as big. If you have 500,000 pesos, you have 1,000,000 pesos. If you're buying a condo, you take out a loan. If you're buying a condo, and then provided people start renting it out from you, there's a big chance that the money that you would earn from rent would just go for you to pay out the loan. If you have 500,000, if you have 1,000,000, if you have 1.5 million, if you have 2 million, na essentially pang down payment, na pangbili ng condo, when you buy a REIT, whatever you put in, the dividends is all yours. You are not paying a bank. You are not putting it into a loan. Whatever yield you get is yours. And again, as what I've mentioned, since you're catering to businesses and majority that are listed are catered to office spaces, the risk that mababakante kayo is very, very little. Majority of the REITs that we have, BPO, office spaces, occupancy rate is very, very high. Tenants are locked in for a very, very long time. They have the ability to increase rental rates. I'm not sure if you know this, but you've seen the trend. A lot of them will be adding buildings or properties into the mix. That's what we saw for a REIT. That's what other REITs have also disclosed as part of their plan to unlock more value to investors, that as they buy that REIT, as more buildings are added, of course, the value would go higher, and in turn, it will experience capital appreciation. And that's what's interesting about that, and that's what I like about it, because it's the best of both worlds. While you're holding onto the REIT, you get compensated via dividends, but over time, since property prices are increasing, since rental rates are also increasing, you also get capital appreciation. Of course, there will be volatility. Please do remember this, that this is listed in the stock market. There will be volatility in this. Since this is listed in the stock market, there will be upward and downward movements. But over the long term, if it's done right, you analyze it right, you studied it very, very well, it should outperform banks that will give you very, very small amounts of return. And what's nice about this is that it doesn't just give you the ability to earn dividends and capital appreciation. Please remember, it's so liquid, which is so relevant right now in the pandemic. I've seen a lot of friends who had properties that they wanted to sell, but they couldn't sell because there was no buyer, or they had to wait a very, very long time before they get to liquidate their property. Or if they needed to liquidate it, it was at a very, very low price because there's no central exchange where they could find people who were willing to buy their particular property at the price that they want. When you enter the REIT market, that's not your problem, because when it's in the stock market, when it's listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange, the amazing thing about that is you get to buy it, you get to sell it anytime, as long as the market is open, and as long as there's someone that's willing to buy it at a certain price, you get to also sell it at a certain price, and then in the next few seconds, in the next few minutes, your transaction is over and it's as good as cash already. And that's what I like about it. So of course, there will be risks attached to it, because at the end of the day, any investment also will give you risks anytime you enter it, and that's why it's so important that you study it. It's so important that you take the time to build the confidence and the conviction to know what you're getting into. But ultimately speaking, I like it because it gives a chance to Filipinos to enter the property market with very low capital, and it's so liquid na pwede mong ibenta anytime. And it gives you dividends that are higher than time deposits, and it also gives you the ability to have capital appreciation. But above and beyond that, you are giving the company money for them to be able to grow. As they start to grow, they start to spur economic growth. But as they start to spur economic growth, they also create jobs and opportunities for a lot of people, which I think is so important right now where we are in 2021. That's my conviction. I'm a big fan of REITs. I'll never stop talking about them because, in my opinion, it's something that gives Filipinos a shot to earn more. And it's something that's not talked about a lot, eh. And that's why I keep making videos like this, because I want financial education to be so relevant in YouTube. There's so many things that people talk about in YouTube. Why can't investing be in the forefront? Why can't things that help people move forward be in the forefront? I'll put it in the description below. We have so many videos about REITs, but please take the time to study. Please take the time to do a deep dive. Please take the time to learn, to know what it is. Because at the end of the day, it's your money, it's your responsibility, and you need to know what you're getting into. But here's the thing. When you know what you're getting into, it will give you the confidence to enter and exit based on your own conviction. And that's what I want. People who are investing because they know what they're getting into, and as a result, it helps their financial lives as well. So if this was something that's helpful for all of you and you want more videos like this, like, share, subscribe, and smash the bell so you get updated every time I come up with new content about investing. So this is Marvin Gurmo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.